In the Central Region, the party says the publication of the details of voters online appears good, but majority of the voters may not have the capacity to check their names. Central Regional Chairman of the party, Ebenezer Kojote-Ado, indicates many of the voters may not have access to the internet and might not find it relevant to appreciate the move. Speaking after the opening of the Book of Condolence in the NDC party office in Cape Coast, he said the Electoral Commission should do more than that to win the confidence of the public. Richard Kojunyako has more.
National Democratic Congress in the region on Sunday opened the Book of Condolence in honor of the former President J.J. Rawlings at the party's regional office in Cape Coast. Regional Chairman of the NDC, Ebenezer Kojote-Ado, indicated the party was going to work very hard to maintain the virtues the former president stood for. Speaking on the publication of the names of voters, he says the move by the EC may be good, but might not benefit the ordinary voter because they don't have the capacity to check their names.
When we are talking about the voter population, majority of them are the ordinary people, you understand, who may not have any access to what we are talking about. It's only the middle class and some few people who may even show any form of interest to find out whether their names are in. But in totality, a large majority of the people may not even have time, may not even know that this has been published all over and that they should even go down and check their names. So it doesn't give us any belief that there is
some sections of the society would be able to check their names, whether their names are on the electoral roll.
Yes, some sections of the society, especially those who are involved in party politics. I doubt whether you standing here will even bother to check whether your name.
I have checked.
You have done that because maybe you are involved in the politics of the day. But I'm telling you that majority of the people will not. Not that they are not willing, but they do not have that either the capacity or the knowledge or the facility to do that. Checking from the list that has been released. It's good that they are doing that anyway, maybe the first time and so on, but let's hope that all will be well.
Regional Director of Elections for the NDC, Gloria Beidin-Kumsin, is urging the EC to go beyond the publication by correcting anomalies identified in the register. She recounted a few of such anomalies.
I'll take it as a step in the right direction, but EC should make sure that everything is correct. Because let me give you an example. At Cape Coast, in Cape Coast South, at Ekon, a polling station was indicated there in the booklet that we were given as police headquarters. You and I know that Ekon has even no police post there. So where from that one? And then at Upper Denchira East, 3 polling stations, nothing appeared there. We are yet to cross-check with what we are doing today to see whether they've done the corrections, because we made them aware. It's good they've posted them so that every individual can easily assess his or her name, be satisfied that he's not been disenfranchised and can go and vote. I will call it a step in the right direction, but they should go beyond that. Yeah, and do the necessary corrections before we can trust the document that we are going to use to vote on 7th December.
Other members of the party, including the regional secretary of the party, Kojo Kwansa, and the Cape Coast North parliamentary candidate, Kwame Namintanyako, signed the Book of Condolence. Richard Kojunyako, JoyNews, Cape Coast.
All right, let's stay with issues relating to the EC because a group calling itself Concerned Citizens of Asin North have petitioned the Electoral Commission to withdraw the candidature of the NDC parliamentary candidate for the Asin North constituency, James Jache Quason. The group alleges the NDC candidate holds dual citizenship, a Ghanaian citizenship and a Canadian citizenship that breaches the 1992 Constitution. In a petition sent to the Commission and copied to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of National Security, the IGP and the BNI, the group implored the EC to act on the matter as quickly as practicable, bearing in mind the time and space of the conduct of the parliamentary election in Ghana.
We write to notify your office to seek a speedy resolution to a matter that seeks to derogate our constitutional procedure towards our electioneering processes, which has been addressed to the Central Regional Branch of the Commission, that is the EC. We wish to bring to your notice the fraudulent misrepresentation by Mr. James Joquasin, as he bears different names for different purposes, which is a clear violation of our laws in Ghana, unless he has sworn an affidavit to change his name pursuant to the Registration of Birth and Death Act, that is in 1995, Act 301. The name he bears on the Canadian passport is James Quasin. That is the passport number HN426280. And we even have his address, that is 30 Star Crest, Ajat, Ontario, Canada. However, he bears the name James Jachi Quasin on the notice of the polls for the upcoming parliamentary election in the constituency. And attached are the relevant documents tendered as an evidence and a copy of the petition which we serve on the same relevant institution, including your commission, that is the Central Region Branch. And with this, we are giving the EC up to Friday, which is the 27th of this month, November 2020, to ask so as to hear from him or from their high office for a smooth running of the upcoming election.
It's time to hit the campaign trail. With the NDC's presidential candidate John Mahama, who's ended his tour of the Upper East region with an overnight campaign traveling to hard-to-reach areas in a last-minute bid to woo the vote of electorates. John Mahama and his campaign team left their hotel 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday and returned at 5:30 a.m. Wednesday morning. Maxwell Akbaba was with the team and reports how some supporters of the party slept at public parks as they waited for his visit.
As part of the comedy of inconsistencies that dent the credibility of
the NDC presidential candidate has been moving to various constituencies. As we speak right now, he's in Paga and he's about to greet the chief of Paga. But what you can see behind me is actually the main Navrongo to Paga road. Now, this road, there's a traffic situation on this stretch because many NDC supporters have gathered here, all of them waiting to hear John Mahama speak at the Paga Chief's Palace. A lot of them are waiting, some of them on motorbikes, as you can see, jubilating here. So they have caused some kind of a traffic situation here on the main Navrongo Paga Road. There's jubilation for them. This is not a rally ground. The NDC presidential candidate is just coming here to visit the chief of Paga, and all the supporters have converged here. I have with me the member of parliament for Boku Central, Mahama Yariga. He's here with me. Let's find out from him what the campaign has been like.
He is being received everywhere enthusiastically. You can see the energy. The young people are yearning for the second coming of John Dramani Mahama as president. I mean, they are listening. He's taking his time to deliver the message, to explain what he will do in his second term, and the focus on continuing on the infrastructure development and providing job opportunities for the young people and skills training and etc. and developing the agricultural potential of the North is something that is going down well with the people of the North. And everywhere we go, the people are yearning for NDC to come back.
Great. So
you can see the energy all around.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that victory is ours.
We wait to see.
It shall be.
Okay, thank you. So you just heard from Boku Central MP, Mahama Ayariga. Now, the NDC presidential candidate has been talking about the Japa deal. He's saying that for persons who illegitimately benefited from the deal, if the NDC wins, they should return the monies.
I think he has hit the nail right on the head. And what did he say? He said that all those who might have benefited from the deal, putting the interest of the nation first. And when you look at the report of the special prosecutor, the reason for which he resigned, and that's also an indictment on this administration, to have the special prosecutor resign at this time is an indictment. The report has indicted the president, the report has indicted the finance minister, the report has indicted the deputy minister of finance. And so, if any of these persons can be said to have benefited from the deal up to this point, I think that I would support a future NDC government led by John Dramani Mahama to take our money back and prosecute them.
You just heard from Mr. Abraham Amaliba. Abraham Amaliba is a member of the NDC legal team.
Oh, I'm very, very happy because this is our candidate who is coming to lead us in the victory. And this MPP government, actually, when they came into power, we are suffering.
You are suffering? You say you are suffering, what do you mean you're suffering?
Because,
how do you mean?
What I mean is that when they came, all the business they collapsed, all the banks collapsed. So we don't have even food to eat. It's difficult for us.
So excited because we are having the incoming president in our midst. That's why we are so excited.
It's 2:34 a.m. and we just left the Busa South constituency now. Through the Busa North constituency, we'll be going through Navungu. But there's a stop right now, and the NDC presidential candidate is meeting one of the chiefs here in this community shortly. All these vehicles were in the Busa South constituency. Even around this time at 2:33, it was quite a rough terrain. If you're sitting in a vehicle and using that untarred road, the dust covers the entire windscreen, something making it very difficult for the drivers to actually drive through. But they had to endure. And around 2:33 a.m., they are still here in this constituency, still going to meet some chiefs, interact with them, all in a bid to win their votes and their support come December 7th.
We've been waiting here for more than 12 hours.
What time did you come here yesterday?
We came here, the moment we got to know that he was to come, then we went to them, then they said they were coming at 8 o'clock.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Tuesday.
Okay. So we came out, we went round, we made cars to go round and look for people, tell the people to come back as a failure to the previous day. And then they started coming. They started coming here. If you had come here the daytime, you would have been surprised. You would have been surprised. It was fantastic.
So what made you stay to endure?
We stayed here to receive our incoming president.
I came here around 5 o'clock in the evening time. Up to now.
That's Tuesday 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, and you've been waiting here till dawn 4 a.m.?
4 a.m.
And that was our reporter, Maxwell Akbagot there. He's embedded with the NDC presidential candidate's campaign team. And we are told that Mr. Mahama is headed towards Wale Wale. We'll bring you an update in our subsequent bulletins. And the president has been touring parts of the city today. Let's go on the line and speak to presidential correspondent Elton Brobe. Elton, bring us up to speed on the president's tour.
So we are taking a 30 minutes break now. Where I am reaching you from, this is the residence of the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael, where President Akufo-Addo is on a lunch break, if you like. Everybody in the team is taking a 30 minutes break. We still have about 6 more stops ahead of us before this is brought under conclusion. There's day 2 of the Greater Accra Regional Tour. So we started off from W. Kuma West constituency, where a statue of the former Minister of State, Theresa Amelitego, was unveiled. According to President Akufo-Addo, it was to honor her contribution to the governance of this country and also to the community. And for residents in the area, they feel inspired by the recognition given her by the president. And for that reason, they'll go out to ensure that the MPP is retaining power. The target for the MPP in the Greater Accra region is to win at least 38, to win at least 28 out of 33 seats available. They currently hold 21 out of the 33. They want to win 28 out of 33 in the upcoming elections. And that is the target according to the regional executive of the party. That's how come they are devoting so much attention to the Greater Accra region. Even though the region tour is ending today, President Kufuor will go to the Central tomorrow for 3 days, Western for a day, Ashanti region for another 3 days, and come back to the Greater Accra region for another 2 days to wrap up the electioneering campaign for the 2020 December general election. The message, as always, since day one, has been for the electors to look at what he promised in 2016 and to assess him and then come to the conclusion whether he's performed. For him, he's performed more than good, and for that reason, he should be retained in power. He touched on the comment from former President Mahama yesterday during this campaign tour in the Upper West region, where he said that he started the implementation of a free senior high school program with the construction of the E-blocks. Now, President Kufuor, at a drive-through the Malam, Odoko, and Abobolosi market, took some time to respond to this particular issue. First, he said that he was surprised and shocked that former President Mahama is laying claim to the free SHS program. Somebody, according to him, rejected it and actually said that the resources that is being invested into the free SHS could have been used in other sectors of the economy. For him, because the former president is running an uninspiring campaign, he is looking at means to, rejuvenate his campaign. As I come, he's now adopted the seat and lies to sell himself out to the electorate. But he says that Ghanaians are discerning, and he's hoping that they will look at his track record, they will look at his deliverables, and then return the MPP in power. Because for him, the next 4 years will be an opportunity to build on the foundation laid so far and take Ghana to the promised land.
All right, Elton Brobe bringing us an update on the president's tour of parts of the Greater Accra today. As you know, he is ending his Greater Accra tour today. But earlier, he unveiled a statue of the first member of parliament for Ablekuma West constituency, Theresa Ameletego, at the famous Danceman roundabout, and she died about 10 years ago. Watch.
We're met here today on a sad but joyous occasion. Sad because we've come to remind ourselves of the passage of a colleague who was a valiant member of our struggle for freedom and democracy in Ghana. Ameletego was a politician of the first rank. She founded the women's wing of the MPP. And she was a vibrant member of the New Patriotic Party right until her untimely death. She served President Kufuor's government with zeal and enthusiasm. And it's all that we remember.
You're still here on Election Brief with me, Arba Kumsin. Still ahead, growing opposition to the announcement by the Supreme Court that it will settle any dispute that arise from the 2020 elections and give it a judgment within 42 days. We have details.
The Supreme Court is proposing that should there be any dispute, it will not go beyond 42 days.
Hello, you're welcome back to Election Brief. And now advocacy group Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, is the latest to kick against the Apex Court's announcement yesterday that it will deliver judgment on any suit challenging the presidential election within a maximum of 42 days. The group argues peculiarities within a case determine the length of hearing and subsequently the delivery of judgment. Executive Director of ASEPA, Mensa Thompson, will be joining us with more on the opposition. But first, let's hear from some political parties who strongly oppose the Supreme Court's decision to reduce to 7 days the time frame within which an individual or party can file a presidential election petition. We start off with Vice Presidential candidate of the Progressive People's Party, Kofi Asamoah Siao, who says the move is unconstitutional.
the provision in Article 64 for anybody to suggest any other procedure or timeline which is inconsistent with that constitutional provision, we have to do that through constitutional amendment, which actually has to go through a referendum. So the Supreme Court cannot, in my view, constitute themselves into Ghanaians and say that they have changed the 21 days period to 7 days. That would be completely unconstitutional. We are there to interpret and enforce the laws or the Constitution as is written by us, the people of Ghana. So that mandate will not include varying the constitutional provisions that we have it. So even if you come to Article 64(3), where the Supreme Court has power to make the rules, they don't make the rules by sitting in the Supreme Court. They make the rules through a constitutional instrument. And by practice and by constitutional provision, constitutional instrument, which the rules of court that Mr. Maleba was talking about, must be laid before Parliament. The Constitution says any citizen can file a petition. The Supreme Court says no. You have to be a presidential candidate. That is power you are taking from a citizen of Ghana. The Supreme Court doesn't have that power to take something away from us. And they're also saying that the 21 days must be 7 days. I hope at this stage there are proposals, there are recommendations, and if they are not, and they are going to insist on this, I will see it as an attempt to make it difficult for anybody to challenge the regulation. Well, definitely, as the discussion I just started, we need to, I think at this stage, the Secretary to the Judicial Council must, if you like, give Ghanaians further clarification on what the Justice's comment meant.
Well, member of the NDC legal team, Abraham Amaleba, agrees. He says the constitutional provision makes room for a 21-day preparation period and can only be reversed through a referendum.
If the Supreme Court intends to apply all these things that they have proposed in say 2021, if there's a dispute, then I think that it is too late now. I am thinking that these proposals are for the future, particularly the 64(3). That is doable, but you don't have a CI now. Parliament is not sitting now. You can't get the number of days that you want. And so I think that this is looking into the future, but not to apply it in the shortest possible time. If the Apex Court is now saying that you have to do that within 7 days, are they proposing to come with an amendment to the provision of the Constitution that says that you should do that in 21 days? I wasn't at the program, but I thought that that question should have been put out there for them to try to clarify. In the absence of any attempts to, as it were, come out with a constitutional amendment, then it will be difficult for anybody to then say that you would have to bring your petition within 7 days. When Article 64 is clear, which says that you must do so within 21 days after the declaration of the results. So I still would want to find out how this can be done if there's no constitutional amendment. We have what is called the Court of Rules Committee. If the Court of Rules Committee sit down and look at all these processes, they are able to shorten the length of the trial. Then I agree, and I think that I'm in sync with them to have this done within 42 days. I think that is reasonable for me. I would convene a legal committee meeting, and then we'll look at the proposal and see what we can put together and present it to the Apex Court.
Well, chairperson of the Election Manual Review Committee, Justice Jones Doche, says the decision is legally binding.
The Supreme Court is proposing that should there be any dispute, it would not go beyond 42 days. And there are major significant changes in the law, in the sense that now if you are interested in pursuing or initiating an presidential election dispute, you must have been a candidate in that election. And you can only sue the one who has been declared as the winner by the EC and the EC. That's all. No political party will be allowed to join the suit. And we propose 30 timelines which will not go beyond 42 days. So these are significant material you find in the content of the manual.
All right, so we have Executive Director of ASEPA, Mensa Thompson, joining us in the studio. They're also kicking against these proposals by the Supreme Court. Thank you very much for your time, Mensa Thompson. But we hear a lot of assumptions. We hear a lot of recommendations, proposals, but then we are also told that this is binding. So what's your position on it? Is it binding, or these are just recommendations and proposals? Just clarify that for us.
Definitely not. These cannot be binding. We just rightly heard Justice Toche that this is a proposal, and we know that this country is not ruled by proposals. This country is ruled by laws. And like the previous speakers have argued, if you read Article 64(1), it clearly tells you what, or within the time frame within which, if you want to bring an action against any election results, you can. And the law says 21 days. And let me just read. It says, Article 64(1), the validity of the elections of the president may be challenged only by a citizen of Ghana who may present a petition for the purpose to the Supreme Court within 21 days after declaration of results. So 21 days after declaration of results. The Constitution is very clear. And if we read chapter 1 of our Constitution, it talks about our Constitution and how, any enactment which is inconsistent with our Constitution. If we read Article 2, this Constitution shall be the supreme law of Ghana, and any law found to be inconsistent with any provision of this Constitution shall, to the extent of inconsistency, be void. So, the laws are very clear. What the Supreme Court is proposing is clearly inconsistent with Article 64. And rightly so, Article 64 is also an entrenched provision. And so you cannot just sit at the Supreme Court and issue manuals to override entrenched clauses. No, entrenched clauses must go through a constitutional referendum, which the people must vote to decide whether they want to amend it or not.
All right.
But I think there's peculiar or something happening that we are not paying attention to. You see, a few days ago, the Electoral Commission comes to tell us that they are going to declare results within 24 hours after polls have closed.
Right.
Then the Supreme Court, who, if anything happens, also comes to tell us that when polls are closed and elections are declared, that is after the 24 hours, you have 7 days to file a case or bring an action.
Right.
Then after you file the 7 days, they have 42 days to bring a judgment. Clearly something is wrong.
What is wrong?
These things cannot be happening in a vacuum. You see, you are going through a very crucial elections where over 17 million people are expected to vote, over about 38,000 polling stations, and you are saying that you are going to declare results in 24 hours. And I find it ridiculous, especially when the Electoral Commission themselves have just implemented a new system, which they haven't even piloted enough. They've brought whole new systems, which they haven't worked before. This whole set of commissions have not even conducted elections in this country before. And they are telling us they are going to declare elections within 24 hours. Even our Dr. Afari John, the experienced Electoral Commission, could not declare results within 24 hours. Then the Supreme Court also come to compound our problems. That they are going to, they are giving the parties within 7 days. You have 38,000 polling stations, for Christ's sake. You know what it takes to gather evidence if you want to file a case.
Right.
And you are saying that you are giving parties just 7 days to file a case if they want to bring an action.
Just for the purposes of benefit of those who might not know, how long generally does it take to file such cases?
You see, before you can file a case, you need evidence. You cannot file cases in a vacuum. You cannot go to court just because you feel like going to court. You need evidence to go to court. And when polls closes, you are now going to request for the pink sheets from your polling agents, going to get experts to audit the pink sheets, lawyers to look at the deficiencies in the pink sheets, and build up a case for the court.
So what you're saying is that it is very tasking. You
That
cannot do that
happen
within
in 7 days.
Right.
And the Supreme Court knows this. So and that is why the Constitution says 21 days.
But what do you make of the argument being put forward by some that the motive was for this is commendable because, as you remember, the election petition, it dragged on for at least 8 months. People were tired, so perhaps they're seeking to, avoid that.
Yes, I totally agree with that expression, and we all agree that justice delayed is justice denied. We all want justice to be served in events that this election have to go to the Supreme Court or to a litigation process. But you cannot replace justice with expediency or with fluidity. No, that is not what we want. You want justice to be served. Now, if the Supreme Court will want to make a determination of a matter as quick as they can, it is very commendable. But the Supreme Court cannot sit at the Supreme Court in a vacuum and say they are going to use this X number of days. That is impossible.
All right, so what do you expect the Supreme Court to do, given the concerns raised by yourself, by the NDC, as well as the PPP?
First of all, they must withdraw that manual because Chapter 1 of our Constitution says that any law that is inconsistent with any provisions of this Constitution is null and void. And once you have an entrenched provision making a clear statement or giving a proper guideline on how things should be done, the Supreme Court cannot replace that with their own manual. That is not that cannot be it. Then the most important point that we need to make is that why are we being rushed through all these things? Is it that we cannot take our time and go through these processes?
So the Supreme Court must withdraw this manual.
Yes, and within 42 days, what is the Supreme Court going to do? For example, the case is going on, lawyers are doing cross-examination. When they get to cross-examination, are you going to ask, tell the lawyers that, 42 days are up? So without a case in front of you, you cannot determine how long it's going to take you to make a determination of the matter.
Okay, Mensa Thompson, thank you so much for your time. He is Executive Director of ASEPA, and they are one of those kicking against the proposals by the Supreme Court to hear election petitions within 42 days. Now, let's talk about security. And Bono East is one of the newly created regions which will shape election result discussions. With 120 hotspots, police say violent crime has drastically reduced and campaigns have been peaceful. But for some residents, coming across a dead body in marketplaces is not uncommon. Like all the other regions we visited, they complain about arms in wrong hands and say police must consolidate the relative peace they have enjoyed so far and boost their presence on the ground. Today, in our series Safety for My Vote, Anna Sabit reports from the Bono East region.
We are in Techiman on the principal streets to engage residents on some of the topmost security concerns ahead of the December elections and getting to the end of the year.
We usually have security issues during elections, so we need to strengthen our security to save the situation.
Armed robbers and
thieves are all over the market. Sometimes you find dead bodies in the market too.
Techiman had the security issues. For
us here in Techiman, armed robbery, especially on the route, is on the rise. From the streets, we sought to find the current security situation from the Ghana Police Service. DCOP Asumadu Ochri Dakun is the acting Bono East Regional Commander.
The current security situation in the Bono East region is a mixed one because we have a situation where, on one hand, other crimes like kidnappings and murders, and then the numerous chieftaincy clashes have gone down. Robberies are not going the way we want it to be. Yes.
On political violence, DCOP Ochidakun tells me that though the region is relatively peaceful, the police has been able to identify over 120 flashpoints across the 11 constituencies of the region.
And that's our show today. Remember, you can touch base with us every single day, every working day from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Election Brief is always brought to you by Petrosol.